as we offer many woodwind instruments and brass instruments from year 7 to year 9, I believe.
Yeah.
If a student was having trouble deciding which one to choose, how might you guide them?
Yeah, well, there's a couple of things. So I always say go for the one you like the sound of, because you're going to hear it quite a lot. So thinking about, I like the sound of this clarinet versus this trumpet or whatever. But there's a bit more science to it than that as well. So we have to also see, can your fingers reach the keys? Or if you've got a trombone, have you got long enough arms to get the slide into 7th position? Or maybe if you've got an overbite, it's quite hard to play on the trumpet. So there's some physical things that we need to be aware of. So we don't want to put a student in a situation where they pick up an instrument that they love and they can't be successful on because they've got a physical limitation, and that just won't be helpful. So we've got to be aware of that, but also what do they actually like the sound of? And it's interesting, you know, you'll get parents say, I really want my son or daughter to learn music, and what should that be? And often it's age dependent as well. You know, if they're young, maybe if they're in primary school, they are not going to be able to play wind and brass instruments. It's why we start them in year 7. They're not physically big enough to do it. So that's why you find a lot of students learning things like piano, or they've got a keyboard at home, or they learn a half-size violin. It's physiology of how big the students are. And often they might move on from that. They might stick to that instrument, or they might move on. I think if you talk to a lot of professional musicians, they have almost all of them played something else before the instrument that they ended up settling on. But basically, all music is good, is what I would say to parents. You can't really make a wrong choice. So long as the student is really enjoying the process, then I think you're on a winner, basically. So there's no wrong thing. I would also say sometimes there's a lot of switching out really early. Like somebody might play a piano for 6 months. It's not really long enough to get to know much about the instrument or how to play it. So sometimes a bit of perseverance, I would say, is a good trait to have as well. But in general, if you like the sound of it, if you can physically play it, then I think it's a good choice.